21 of the Army's toughest mountaineers are preparing to climb Everest the hard way. Their aim is to become the first British team ever to climb the notoriously difficult and deadly West Ridge all the way to the top. On this treacherous route, they'll have to battle 150-mile-an-hour winds, freezing temperatures and sheer cliffs of ice, while their bodies self-destruct from the extreme altitude. Of the 2,219 people who've summited Everest, only 19 have ever made it via the West Ridge, and 21 have died trying. The British Army have now been on Everest for 4 weeks. Bad weather has delayed their progress.
When the tent's an igloo, you know you've had a lot of snow.
And the effects of the altitude are kicking in.
He was dripping some fluid from his nose. It did look like the fluid that surrounds the brain.
From now on, the physical and mental stresses of climbing high really begin to show.
He blatantly fucking lied to me. Fucking sack him.
And Everest claims yet more lives in what is turning out to be the deadliest year on the mountain for a decade.
No, he went the whole way down.
The West Ridge route starts with a 1,200-metre ice climb, then a traverse for 1.5 kilometres along the knife-edged West Ridge, before a final push into the death zone. Between 7,500 metres and the top, it's the most technically challenging part of the whole route. The expedition's 21 climbers have been divided into 4 separate climbing teams, who are being assisted by a group of Nepalese Sherpas, without whose high-altitude abilities it would be almost impossible to climb such a difficult route. The teams are taking it in turns to lead the climbing at the front and to establish a series of camps higher and higher up the mountain, before returning to base camp to rest every 4 or 5 days. It'll take approximately 7 weeks to establish all the camps, which are constantly being stocked with supplies by the other climbing teams, with their own load-carrying Sherpas. In the expedition's final week, just 4 of the Army's strongest climbers will push up through all the camps, all the way to the top. So far, they've reached Camp 2. At 6,300 metres, halfway up the French spur, it's precariously positioned on the very edge of the mountain.
Quite sort of gingerly perched, really, on the side of the French spur. Quite an atmospheric campsite. As you can see, we've actually had to dig the tents into the side of the slopes. Only a matter of feet away. You've got some quite large crevasses which you need to sort of keep away from. If anybody took a bit of a slide, they probably wouldn't stop, especially with the old windsuits on or duvet jackets. They'd end up back down on the glacier and it wouldn't be very pretty picking them up.
Sergeant Ian Venables is a senior member of the RAF's mountain rescue team. With the rest of Team B, including Royal Marine Frankie Francis and Sergeant Dave Elsley, their priority now is to establish Camp 3. But first, Frankie's got another job to do.
Sanitation's quite a difficult one round here as well, you know. When we want to go for the toilet and whatnot, we tend to try and do it in the one place.
What are you doing there, Frankie?
I'm having the time of my life, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to fill this crevasse with last night's rations.
Once Frankie has finished his morning business, he and Dave Elsley will set off first, further up the French spur to the proposed site of Camp 3, which will be the launch pad for the expedition's push across the West Ridge. Team B have got 3 Nepalese Sherpas. They're particularly well adapted to the altitude and able to carry extraordinarily heavy loads. But communication between the Sherpas and team leader Ian Venables is proving somewhat eccentric.
So the more you can carry today, the better, although bulky.
Look at me.
Bulky, it's wide.
Yeah.
Not very heavy, but big.
Sherpas can earn as much as $600 a day carrying loads up Everest, more than most Nepalese earn in a year. But the risks are high. Already this season, on the other side of the mountain, 4 Sherpas have been killed, 3 in an icefall and 1 from altitude sickness, bringing the total number of people that have died on Everest to 196.
Well, welcome to Frankie Camp for the first time. Just below us, Camp 2 where we just left.
That's where we're going. We're heading up to the rock band now, and as you can see up there, it's just a straight slog over down there in that valley is Southside Base Camp, the old tourist route up.
This year, the south side of the mountain is heaving. A record number of people have paid over $50,000 each to climb one of the main commercial routes. On these routes, ropes have been permanently fixed all the way to the top, so once acclimatized, it's possible to climb Everest from base camp in just a few days. Aided, coaxed and occasionally carried up there by tour guides and high-altitude Sherpas, this year the first double amputee, a 70-year-old man and a Playboy cover girl, will be among the hundreds who make it to the top. But the north side, where the army are, is almost deserted. Except, that is, for two very intrepid skiers.
What are we doing? 5? We just come off the North Col.
Yeah.
Tormod Granheim from Norway and his skiing partner Thomas Olsen from Sweden are two of the world's most respected extreme skiers. They've just completed a recce of the lower section of a new ski route down Everest.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Now we only
How difficult was it?
We found a good line.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, but it's a lot of ice up there.
Their plan is to summit Everest via the popular North Col route and then to complete an Everest first, to be the first people to ski all the way down the Great Couloir.
Hopefully we'll ski from the summit next time, but no one has skied it so far, so we'll see.
When are you talking about next year?
No.
We'll
10 days
get back from the
or 7
rest
days.
All right, this
next week.
All right.
Extreme skiing is one of the most dangerous sports in the world, and on Everest there is no mountain rescue if things go wrong.
The problem is to get into the Great Couloir because there's quite a lot of rocks and rock bands.
So that's obviously the crux part of the route.
1 or 2 abseils, I would say. And then
We'll bring some rope.
Yeah, a bit more next time than the 20 we had today.
Before Thomas and Tor head round to the North Col route, the army have agreed to let them rest and feed up at Tillman's. On Everest, climbers burn about 6,000 calories a day, so almost anything tastes good. But the Sherpas' take on British staples is intriguing.
Today we're having fish and chips, as you can see. Siam put together this fine lunch. And this is the most remarkable and unusual of fish treats. We're not quite sure where it comes from or what has been done to it. It's obviously taken a very long time to prepare the fish, probably several years, I should think. There we go.
Up at Camp 2, things are not so relaxed. While Frankie and Dave are attempting to establish Camp 3, several hundred metres higher up the mountain, their Sherpas have decided to come back down. Team leader Ian Venables is not amused.
The Sherpas have just dumped the loads and come down.
What, without working?
Where, at the high point?
Yeah. It's not happening, is it?
My Sherpa's been like that before. Like this one.
They are terrible, mate. See ya.
Frankie and Dave carry on regardless. But Frankie more than anyone knows how dangerous Everest can be. He's tried to climb it once before, but his summit bid was halted when he became involved in the highest ever mountain rescue.
Last time it was north side, which is commercial, so you've got God knows how many other teams doing the same route. It's very busy. The lines are most of the time already fixed. We got a call that said, what sort of state you in? We said, fine, we're ready to go up to Camp 6 and we'll go that night. And he said, well, we got a rescue situation. Can you help out? So we're like, well, yeah.
A civilian that had been fallen on by another civilian, he'd broken his leg and he was just being left there, and they just couldn't morally walk past him.
We had a bit of a palaver that day, getting him down, sorting him out, bunging him in a stretcher, lifting him, shifting him off down to the North Col, really.
The second summit team carried him down with no help whatsoever from any civilians.
Quite a lot of people were unwilling to help. They just stepped over him, carried on with the route, cracking on past, ignoring the guy.
Having ruined their own summit chances and risked their own lives to get him down, the chap who'd actually fallen on this bloke and broke his leg was standing at the North Col swinging a golf club and hitting balls down into the glacier. Not a care in the world.
Frankie had helped carry the injured man down from 8,300 metres, proving to the world that successful rescues at that height, well into the death zone, are possible. Tragically, 3 years later, no one seems to have learned from his example. On the other side of the mountain, British climber David Sharp has collapsed on his way down from the summit and lies dying in a cave at 8,600 metres, next to the frozen corpse of an Indian climber who fell in the same spot 9 years earlier. As many as 40 climbers are said to walk past David before he dies, the 198th person to be killed on Everest.
There's no reason why that English chap should have died. Somebody, if they'd cared enough and weren't being so selfish, could have picked him up and carried him down.
By the time the 2006 season is over, Everest will have claimed 11 lives in what is set to become the most deadly year on the mountain for a decade. Team leader Ian Venables and climbing partner Brush McComb follow Frankie and Dave up the mountain, and after 7 hours of lung-bustingly hard work, finally reach the site for Camp 3, 7,200 metres above sea level.
Camp 3, digging the platform into the snow. Really hard work. A lot of it's slabby snow, which comes off quite easy. But when you get right down to the base layer, as you can see there, lots and lots of ice. But we're getting there. Just about building our platform for our little quasar to go in.
An hour later, they finally get 2 tents up, and Camp 3 is born.
Camp 3, this is Tillman, send over.
Expedition leader Dave Bunting is eager for news of their progress.
Yeah, very good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, okay, matey. One thing that really disappointed me today and really annoyed me actually, and we really need to start getting a grip, is these Sherpas. Roger, so far over.
Mate, Ian, can you just confirm the location of all the Sherpas now then? Over.
I can't confirm anything, mate. I say my Sherpas just fucked off. They just disappeared and said they were going to Tillman's.
Okay, mate, they did actually specify they were going to Tillman's, didn't they? Because we wonder whether they may be going to get some rope, over.
You're fucking joking, mate. Line of least resistance, mate.
Just wait out, mate. Fucked it up, the Sherpas there, haven't they?
All camps, Camp 1 over.
Camp 3 send.
I passed all 4 Sherpas just below Camp 2. Go ahead, mate.
Stock taxi, mid-rope, and I know he was pulling a fast one. He blatantly fucking lied to me on the middle of the rope.
You want to survive it?
Yes, mate.
Quite frankly, I don't know how fucking strong he is. If he's going to be dishonest on the mountain like that, fucking sack him.
Okay, mate, you better just leave that with us down here, mate.
Yeah, I'd probably better.
All the Sherpas have come off the mountain to rest back down at Tillman's without permission. Rope leader John Doyle and Dave Bunting head to the Sherpa tent to read them the riot act. But if the army lose their support, the whole expedition will be in jeopardy.
This come from Camp 3, guys?
Yeah. 2 of them, Camp 3 and 2 of...
Why are they down here?
They've been very tired, so they decided to come down. So they've been 4 days we've been carried.
7 days. 7 days.
We
carry 1 day, 3 loads. 3 loads, 3 loads.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Oh, wake up. Carry load. Everybody's safe.
You have to talk to the rope leader though. We know you still need to rest. We have to ask to rest on the mountain sometime. Because we lose so much when you come back here. We're a little bit upset with you, Tashi, because you lied to the deputy leader. You told him you could come down, and that's not true. And we can't work like that. You just got to talk with each other, and then there's no problems, you know.
Coming up, Everest continues to claim yet more lives, and the extreme skiers disappear from the mountain.
I mean, the speed, if someone's falling off that.
The Army's attempt to become the first British expedition ever to climb Everest via the difficult and deadly West Ridge has come to an unexpected halt. High-altitude Sherpas are meant to be helping them carry equipment up the mountain, but on their way to Camp 3, they turned round and headed back down to base camp. Stranded at 7,200 metres with no rope and no supplies, rope leader Ian Venables and the rest of climbing Team B have been forced to retreat all the way back down to Tillman's.
the most annoying thing for me is the Sherpas just didn't talk to the route leaders and say we need a day's rest and take their day's rest up there. They've got it in their mind at the moment that their day's rest is going to be down here where they can eat local food and chill out, which is no good. We lose too much when they come back down here, so I'm annoyed about that. But at the end of the day, if the Sherpas make their mind up they're going to do something, it's hard to stop them.
Keen to keep the expedition's momentum going, Dave Bunting sets straight off back up the hill with climbing Team D, including Expedition Dr. Malcolm Russell and Sean Phillips. To help make up for lost time, they're all carrying double loads. But the Sherpas, keen to restore their relationship with the army, have offered to carry treble loads, each pack weighing a staggering 36 kilos. Passing through Camp 1, Malcolm the Doctor turns into Malcolm the Mad Professor.
Put it on, let's have a look.
Check that out.
Do you realise how stupid that looks?
Oh yeah, I've no doubt. No doubt. Anyway, smile, you're on handy helmet cam.
Okay, Dr. Russell's handy homemade helmet cam. Let's give you a taste of what the dew marrow is like. Basically, brute force, ignorance. Come on. Okay. Let's see how Dave's doing.
It takes Malcolm and Dave 5 hours to drag themselves up the rest of the ropes before they finally collapse into Camp 2. At 6,700 metres, water boils at 77 degrees. But the lack of oxygen makes the cooker's flame weak, and it takes them almost 3 hours to boil enough water for their evening meal.
Look at that.
Off?
Yep, that's fine. Wonder if I spilt enough there.
Yeah, I thought when you said half, you meant half in the bottle, half over sleeping mats. So chamomile tea mixed with what remains of coffee there were. For me.
And soup.
And soup. All comforts of home, eh?
Yep. Water bed.
As dawn breaks, back down the mountain, Pete receives a disturbing phone call about the 2 extreme skiers who passed through the expedition's base camp a week earlier.
Thor, where is Thor?
This morning we were just given the unfortunate news that both the skiers summited Everest 2 days ago and haven't been seen since.
Thomas Olsen and Tormod Granheim are the latest in a long line of extreme sports fanatics drawn to Everest by the allure of setting a world first on the world's highest mountain. In 2001, Stefan Gatt was the first person to snowboard off the summit, while husband and wife team Bertrand and Claire Roche became the first people to fly off the top in a paraglider, taking just 8 minutes to get back down to base camp. But no one so far has skied all the way down the Great Couloir.
I mean, the speed, if someone's falling off that, is going to be fast, but if anything could catch, a bit of equipment could catch, it's not a fucking ski I can see. It's just odd compared to the rest of the rock around, and it's sticking outwards.
What we were hoping for was when they got to the summit, they were going to give us a ring, and then we were going to watch them coming down. But obviously that's not happened. I'll see you in a bit, mate. Ta-ra. They follow the tracks into what looks like an avalanche area. So they've got all the tracks down the Great Couloir, and then they traverse out towards the North Col, and the tracks just end. And what it looks like is that they've basically skied onto an avalanche slope, which is avalanche and taken them with it.
Ignorant of what is going on below them, Dave and Malcolm continue to push on up the mountain.
Okay, not having a lot of fun, I have to say, because it's bloody windy, loads of spindrifts and very cold. And it's going on and on.
When they finally reach Camp 3, Dave and Malcolm spend 2 more punishing hours digging in the rest of the tents, before Pete relays the bad news up the mountain.
The 2 skiers that have been coming through our location, basically they went missing the other day. Roger so far?
Roger. Yeah, that's fucking sad news, mate.
Roger that, mate. Camp 3, acknowledge my last.
Yeah, I think we've got all that, mate.
Like I said, Dave, obviously somewhere below the Great Couloir there's going to be a load of avalanche debris, and at the moment we're still looking for these guys. I don't suppose you could just have a look around and see if you can spot anything down the bottom there, can you, mate?
We will do, mate. We're probably in quite a good position to do that quite easily.
I mean, apart from that, mate, I mean, at the moment there's not a lot we can do to help them because we just haven't got the manpower, and I think you should just concentrate on what you're doing, mate.
Okay, mate, understood.
All the climbers at camps 1, 2 and 3 scour the north side for any signs of life. Suddenly, Pete gets another phone call.
Thor, it's Pete Longbottom here. How are you doing? Okay, what's the situation? What's happened to Thomas?
Tor tells Pete that on their way down from the summit, they came across a rocky section that couldn't be skied. They decided to abseil down it with their skis on their backs. Thomas went first, but just a few minutes after this photograph was taken, the anchor point gave way, and he fell 10,000 feet to his death.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Thor, about that. My guys are spread all over the mountain at the moment, so it's difficult for us to do anything. But once they come down, we can try and help you with a search party if you want. Thor, you know, all our condolences from up this end, and we're really sorry.
Thomas Olsen was the 199th person to die on Everest and the 7th to be killed this year. It's a stark and terrible reminder for all the members of the West Ridge expedition that on Everest, death is never very far away.
I respect them, what they were doing. You know, they're playing in a similar arena to what this team is playing, and hey, they're living life to the full. It's just so sad what happened there.
2 days later, Thomas's body was recovered by a Swedish search party helped by Nepalese Sherpas. The British Army held a ceremony at Camp 1 in remembrance of his life. By the time the 2006 climbing season ends, 4 more people will have died on Everest, killed in pursuit of their dream, to stand on top of the world. Next time, the team make it to the top of the French Spur.
What a absolutely spectacular place.
The increase in altitude sorts the men from the boys.
Still want to quit.
And there's disappointment in the ranks when the summit teams are announced.
You know, I was devastated. That to me was any chance of a summit bid was taken away from me.